Hello, Esper level tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI with me, BlueAnkylo. So, I want to go do some dragon hunting, because we've been putting that off. And we are going to do that, but I want to sort of reset everyone's Esper levels, because I spent a lot of time just randomly picking stuff as we played through it. So, we've got lots of money, we can reset them. I've double checked, you can... Whenever you pay the money, you only reset your active party, so you probably want to do this 3 times to get all 12 main characters' Esper levels, if you want to do everyone. And one thing I wanted to show off is we're not going to really do the Coliseum right now, because the dragons, once we do the Dragon Challenge, which is coming up, they drop some more unique gear. There's a couple things I was just going to show off. There's a few items we still don't have. The Crystal Orb is something I would like to get, and hopefully somewhere it's in the game. The Valiance is the knife for Locke that I don't like much, but I don't like giving them up unless I know I can get more. It's kind of my logic. But the Crystal Orb is plus 25% magic damage, and if I don't find one, I'll probably trade in Locke's knife for that. So the Crystal Orb sounds really good. It's the same as, what's the name of the one? Well, there's a relic that does that for physical damage. And I was thinking, technically, like, if I knew if I was fighting things weak to ice or bolt, I could have switched to have 2 ice or 2 bolt claws, depending on what we were fighting. I just never got that far to logic it. Was there anything else I was going to show you that's new here in the list? I know we've spent a lot of time in the Coliseum looking at stuff before. We'll have to come back in a little bit later. Death Ward gets us another hero ring, but they're not that amazing. Let's see, what else is new? I think the Nirvana Band is probably better than the Rogue Cloak, as long as you've got 2 people that want the Nirvana Band. It depends on, like, who you want to use. But Nirvana makes magic and physical do 25% more damage, and that might be more useful to have 2 of those. Let's see... Gem box. Oh, I read about this. So the gem box is the cuts MP in half for Terra. The soul box is the same thing except for Celeste. So you can only have one or the other. I didn't really mention it last episode, but it is an amazingly good relic. There's no economizer in this game, so there's no MP cost 1, which is brokenly powerful. But cutting your MP costs in half is still pretty darn good. Other than that, I might want to check out the Mutsu no Kami. I don't know if we already have one, but, you know, brushes aren't that important, and an amazing sword for Cyan might be a better choice. We'll see. Anyway, that's, I just wanted to show you kind of some of the new gear. We'll check that out a little bit more. I don't want to do a lot of Coliseum stuff right now. I already paid this. What am I talking about? I thought it was, I thought the price went up. Maybe they didn't do that. I know I read some, oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. They just added it at the end there. Okay, so let's do the Esper levels. I don't want to spend like an hour on this, but let's try to get this done quick. So for Terra, my logic here is, now that we're at the end of the game, HP bonus on Esper level is very not worthwhile, in my head. And I could be wrong, but for the most part, gaining 30 HP here and there, every level up is going to give us like around 100 or so, or increasing as we get closer to the level cap. So if you're feeling like you're dying to enemy spells that do 2,000 damage, spending your Esper levels getting over 2,000 HP is kind of a waste. It'd be better, in my opinion, to just get a couple real levels, have more than 2,000 HP, and have good stats to do damage or defense. That's just how I see it. I could be wrong. So anyway, for Terra, oh, also, I forgot to mention, I've spent a lot of time looking into what attacks use which stat. So hopefully I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. Like, I know, I'm sure I've made lots of mistakes on my first time playthrough of Brave New World. But I'm a little bit more familiar with what stamina, magic power, and vigor affect. So I can try to explain that a little bit as we go through. For the most part, Terra uses magic for almost everything except Remedy, Regen, and Regen X. Her stamina is also interesting because it reduces the damage she takes while in morph form. So I've said before that she does take something like double damage while she's morphed, and it's reduced by the back row, for physical at least, which is nice. But if her stamina is high, the penalty can be reduced from double to plus 25%. So at the optimal stamina, she would have 50% bonus damage when morphed, but she would only take 25% in return. And she would still heal quicker with regen and cure and stuff, which is cool. So stamina is probably more useful for Terra than typical. It always provides some status protection and some damage reduction, mild damage reduction, but she gets more use out of it. And she doesn't actually have a pure plus magic Esper. Everything is kind of a mix. She's got pure vigor, but pretty much everything else is a mix. Pure stamina and pure vigor. Fine. She's got everything except speed and magic. I get it. So yeah, no speed. She's never going to be super fast. But anyway, this is the one I want to spend most of our levels on, because this is the only way to boost her magic for damage and for healing. For cure magicking, that is to say. If you wanted to go really into the morph, you might want to put some into Bismarck, Tritalk, I guess. But she's gonna... I feel this is kind of nice too. It's almost like canonical. She's channeling the power of her father into her own abilities here. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm going to spend 20, almost everything into magic and stamina. And then instead of magic, I'll go a little bit into MP at the end here, because I think MP is a little bit more valuable late game, because it's a little bit harder to, it's harder to recover MP. So going into these last dungeons and fight boss fights with an extra 100 MP, I feel like plus 100 MP is a lot better than plus 100 HP anyway. So, at least that's kind of my logic. And it keeps buffing her stamina a little bit. So with that, Terra's at a base of 55 stamina and 62 magic. With gear, she can get pretty much up to 90 magic, which is pretty strong, I feel. Anyway, Cyan has few options. So you can go with HP. I don't know if that's a great choice. At least plus 60 is a lot. But I kind of think either Vigor or the Kirin or Bismarck are probably the right choice for him most of the time, in my mind. At least late game. Early game, the HP is great. Don't get me wrong. That's what I said. For Bushido, Dragon and Eclipse use stamina, but everything else uses Vigor, except Emperor, which uses magic. And he can't raise his magic stat. Similarly, his healing is magic related and his black magic is magic. So he can't actually increase the strength of any of these with Esper levels. So you can make his regen a little bit better with stamina, but that's not enough for me to invest in stamina. Mostly he's all about vigor, so that's what we're going to do. I might give him a little bit of stamina if I feel like it. Probably not HP though. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it. A little bit of HP plus 60 is like half of one normal level, and it's just, I don't know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, I might be willing to go the last 5 to give him a little bit of stamina, but I don't think that's worth much. I think the Vigor is probably better. So we're going pure Vigor, Cyan. That'll make his physical attack the strongest possible, and his Tempest, which is his main damage dealer, as strong as possible. Unfortunately, Dragon and Eclipse will be a little bit weaker, but that should be okay because his Tempest is going to do more single target damage anyway. And his regular physical attack will be as high as it can go, basically. So that's fine. He might not have as much HP as different builds, but like I said, we'll gain a couple more level ups as we go through the end of the game, and hopefully he'll hit... I'd like people to start cracking around 2,000 HP as we fight these dragons, which I'm going to hopefully get to maybe next episode. But I might want to level people up a bit, because as we saw earlier, if the Earth Dragon can do 1,800 armor-ignoring magic damage, then unless you've invested Esper levels or you've got the right relic to boost... Like, I might not need to level everybody up, because we have some items that increase your HP by 25%. That gets him closer to surviving a meteor attack. But there's only so many things like that. I guess we're a lot later in the game, so it's not as difficult. I think one of these helmets increases. I think that's another one that increases his HP by like 25% or something. It's fine, whatever. Let's just keep going. We got a lot of characters to go through here. Locke, I don't know what to do with his stats. Most of his magic is based on his magic stat, and he has no way to increase his magic stat, so that sucks. He can use the Sage's Stone to get X magic, which makes him a really good healer, I guess. But his offensive options are pretty weak. Unless you're going Vigor, and then you have to put him... well, you have to give him either a long-range back row weapon or a front row weapon. I don't know what to do with him. I feel like speed's not a bad choice in general, just because it makes you good at anything offensively or item-wise, healing or any of that. He's a little bit under-leveled, so his HP and MP look poor, but I'll try to fix that up in a bit. I don't think stamina really does him any good. He doesn't even have stamina heals, so I don't know. Like, I know I picked a lot of these levels early on with him because he got a bunch of HP boost that helped him out in the early game. But late game, I don't think Kieran really does anything. Stamina is not a great stat for him in my understanding. And then Phoenix is his only way to get max MP, which might be worth it at least. But, so basically what I'm thinking is mostly speed for now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then maybe I'll split with Vigor a little bit. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. He's got 10 more Esper levels if we ever get them. It'll keep his speed up near the top, and the Vigor, I think, still provides physical defense. Damage reduction, I think. So, maybe we'll find a really good use for, like, Avenger, or Falcon, or Valiance, or something with him. I don't know, we'll see, I'll try. I still don't know a good role for Locke. I'm kind of frustrated by this relic that's meant for him and Shadow, the Rogue Cloak, because you can give him plus 25% magic damage, but you can't really raise his magic power, so he only gets Fire 3, and I don't think this is enough to really stack it up very well. I mean, that's my opinion. I guess if you went Rogue Cloak plus Magic plus Sage's Stone, he could cast magic spells twice in one turn for some boosted damage at least. Wherever that cloak was, yeah. But that's gonna burn through his MP pretty quick, and he still doesn't have, like, I still feel like it's not stacking on his strength, so that's just making up for a weakness. It's like, well, his magic damage sucks, so let's give him 2 spells and a small boost. I don't know, I don't like that. I'd rather be like, Terra is really good at magic. Let's give her more magic that makes magic amazing. That's kind of my logic anyway. So, that's all I've got. Anyway, for Shadow, he has very, very few options for Esper levels, so it's speed or Vigor Stamina. Vigor Stamina, it will help us with physical attacks and defense, and I think maybe throwing shurikens probably, whereas Fenrir's speed just makes him faster. I definitely want him to be faster, although if all you do is increase his speed, he can't really hit hard or do much. So I'm thinking maybe 50-50, one and then the other, or something like that. So that's 10 into each, plus 10 Vigor, plus 10 Stamina, and plus 10 Speed. And then, like, what do we do with the last of it? I don't know, let's look at the stats quick. I'm conflicted with him. It gives him pretty well-rounded stats. I'll give him a little bit more speed for now, and if we get the rest of the Esper levels, maybe I'll give him a little bit more Vigor and Stamina. I don't know. I don't know what to do with him, because his scrolls, which were his major damage output for so long, key off of his magic stat, and we can't raise his magic stat, kind of like Locke. So Locke and Shadow are my two most, kind of like, I don't know what to do with them for Esper levels, because they seem like you're fighting against their basic design. To make them do magic damage, you have to do it completely with gear. So I don't know, that just, it seems counterintuitive for me. I'm sure there's a great build for them, and I'm sure some other Brave New World players have succeeded. I just, in my mind anyway, they're kind of in between good builds, and I don't know what to do with them exactly. So we'll try what I tried, and, you know, we'll see. So then the next group of characters will spend even more money. Hopefully you guys don't mind a little bit of a bonus episode going over this again. I'm not quite doing like a review, it's just more, you should know what my builds are, right? It's kind of, I think it's interesting. It's a main part of Brave New World. Turns out everyone here is already at Esper level 25. Okay, so for Edgar, most of his attacks are Vigor based, so jump, attack, auto crossbow, drill, and chainsaw are all purely Vigor. Noise Blaster, no, not Noise Blaster, sorry, Flash, Bio Blaster are magic, as are Cure 2, and he's, doesn't he have, I just haven't taught him into it, right? Oh, I thought he got Quake or something. No, I guess he doesn't really get any offensive spells. That's fine. Anyway, like, his tools are magic stat oriented. he actually gets quite a lot of buffs and debuffs, which is nice, but that doesn't go off any stat. So magic, basically his tools have a hard time keeping up, which makes sense, because you can't really change his magic power to help out his magical tool damage, basically. But what we can focus on instead is his vigor, so that his jump does better. I guess you can raise his magic. Never mind, I lied. I forgot that Siren raised magic. He's one of those characters that has a lot of options in stats. That's what confused me. So, early game, Unicorn's pretty good for the HP, but I don't think Stamina is a very good stat for him, because it doesn't affect very much. Vigor and HP is fine. Vigor and Speed is probably better. So I guess the question is, do you want to be a tool, or do you want to be a Dragoon? And I feel like being a Dragoon is the right choice. So let's put in at least 15 of these. And then for the last ones, I don't know, like I could give him some HP, don't get me wrong. Would I trade 1 speed for 20 HP? Or like 10 speed for 200 HP? Probably not. Can you imagine the difference? Like, let's just do a little bit of theory crafting here. At the late game, going from, say, around 1500 HP, depending on the equipment, it might be a little bit higher, would 200 more survive you from an attack? Maybe sometimes, but not too often, probably, because a lot of the attacks we're taking are 1000 damage, 1200 damage. The ones that are dangerous, anyway, the chip damage that do 100 or 200 damage generally just gets regenerated through anyway. But the difficult bosses do pushing upwards of like 2000 damage already. So I feel like plus 200 HP is not going to make you significantly more survivable. On the other hand, plus 10 speed does help him get his actions more quickly, gets him in the air more quickly, might let him pop a Phoenix down or an Elixir in a pinch. So just general... The other question would be magic, but I think I've proved in my own head at least that the magic stat is probably not worth investing in too much. Bioblaster was great early game, don't get me wrong, but late game, auto crossbow's already been kind of stronger anyway, and I think the jumping Dragoon double jump is going to be his key damage dealer. So stamina would give him a little bit of defense or status protection, but I don't know. A remedy's not that difficult, so yeah, we're just gonna go all Palador. I convinced myself that speed and strength are the keys for my Dragoon. So pretty much maxed out vigor and speed as much as he can. Okay, next, Celeste. Kind of like Terra, she can do almost anything. I am missing her Crusader, and if I didn't mention it in this episode, I'm continuing to try to figure out how to get it, but for some reason it kind of feels like my game's bugged, and I don't know if it's Brave New World's fault or some other technical difficulty. It would give her, I think it's magic and speed or something. But the Crusader is like specifically for Celeste. It's a special spell that no one else has, a fancy summon, and some more stats, but I guess we're not going to have that. If I do pick it up late game and I want to use them Esper levels, we'll quickly cover that later. So for her, I know she's kind of built, she could be a physical fighter pretty easily, especially with her Illumina sword, especially if you let her do MP crits with this thing. I mean, this sword can be traded either to be the Illumina or the Ragnarok for Celeste or Terra. One of the things is Terra's ultimate Esper gives her magic damage 25%. Celeste's ultimate Esper, which I don't have, unfortunately, gives her physical damage plus 25%. So I could see a really strong physical build with Crusader if I had it. But I might not ever get it now, so I don't know if I should worry about that or not. I've obviously been using this to great effect. I believe it does damage. Apparently, it's like based on your max HP and your stamina or something. Like it's complicated how this one works, and I don't know, because it's kind of a Brave New World spoiler. It's hard to get information on it because most people won't say the name of it because it's a spoiler. So I'm not sure exactly how it works, other than I can tell you that as we've been leveling Celeste up and just giving her random Esper levels, it's been doing a tremendous amount of damage. So even if it's based on stamina and I don't build her for stamina, it seems to be fine, is kind of what I'm thinking. But basically my logic is most of her offense is from magic. She's got a good variety of spells. She can get a fire spell if I ever get Crusader, but she's got like one of the like pretty much the only person with a holy elemental spell, the holy spell. She's got good elemental control. She's got pretty good healing. She could get some benefit out of stamina heals. She's even got some earth elemental stuff that it just never works for me. I know the Brave New World mods tried to make these better. I still find them very lackluster. Maybe I'll try them out again in the final dungeon. So, what have I convinced myself? It's mostly magic. I mean, she's got a lot of options for Esper levels, so it's complicated, and speed is still good. I don't think the HP matters too much, although it might boost the shock attack. I don't know. I don't think the MP wouldn't hurt either, but is there any way to gain MP? It'd be nice if I could gain MP and magic, but I can't. So I don't think the plus 30 HP is worth hardly anything. So it's magic and speed, vigor if you want to go melee, but that's kind of not what I'm looking at. I don't think stamina is particularly important here again. So let's go mostly this one, or at least start with this one for 10 levels. And then I need to decide how much I want to put into her speed. And I do like speed, don't get me wrong. It might be worth really investing quite heavily into the speed for Siren. We'll go 10 more into this, and then I'll reevaluate just quick. So I think we'll put the last 5 levels into speed and magic at the same time. 71 magic is quite high, even though we could hit 80 with her, which is crazy for a base magic power. But I feel like she'll be more valuable if she also gets her turns quicker on, like, there's probably a really complicated formula that would tell you the best use of your stat depending on the magic damage you can put out and how often you get your turns. Because, you know, DPS is damage per second. It's not just that casting Holy does, you know, 8,000 damage. How quickly, how frequently can you cast it? And increasing the speed helps with that and other things. So the speed is kind of a hidden benefit. It's a little bit harder to calculate. Anyway, I feel like 50 speed, 70 magic's probably pretty good. I mean, I'm just making these builds up. I'm not doing any significant research into them. So Sabin's blitzes, this is another thing I want to talk about a little bit. Unfortunately, his fire dance, I had hoped that this was stamina based, but I was wrong. Wind and fire, I'm sure there's comments that just tell me how wrong I am. That's the nature of YouTube. But these ones are actually based on his magic stat, and it's very difficult to raise his magic stat. So as the game goes on, they won't really increase in power like you'd hope, or like I hoped. So that's too bad. Aura Bolt is stamina, so you could buff that up with his stamina stat. But most of his attacks are mantra, and stamina is mostly about mantra and chakra with a little bit of Aura Bolt on the side. Aura Bolt's definitely good, and I'm sure if you buffed up Sabin to a really high level stamina, his Aura Bolt would be killer. Unfortunately, not targetable, which is difficult with enemies that absorb Holy Element or whatever. But he's more about his claws, apparently, in the late game, which are elemental but use his vigor stat. So, for him, the stamina build, which is, I think I put a lot of levels in that, thinking that it would help Fire Dance and Sonic Boom. Probably not really the best use of him. Golem's pretty good for HP. I guess, interestingly enough, the only way to grow his vigor is with Golem, which also increases his HP. Which is probably why I put so many points in stamina as a pure stat, because it was just stat bonus. I wish he had a +2 vigor option, but I guess this is as good as we're gonna get. I'm gonna put at least 15 here. Yeah, at least 15. And I might still put some into stamina, but let's think about that. So his vigor is getting up there. His stamina already is not terrible. You know what, why don't we give him like 5 levels of Stray for just +10 stamina. That'll give him a little bit of a boost to some of his support abilities. Plus, I'm not a huge, like, I don't think all of this HP really matters as much. The +1 vigor is, unfortunately, not as good as +2 vigor. So we'll give him 5 of these at least. And just level up Extravaganza here today. But yeah, I don't know if there's much benefit giving him a ton of stamina. I don't know. I guess if you're going for a support monk, more. But for me, we'll try to go mostly Vigor. That way he can still hit hard. And he might end up being the highest HP character because we just put a ton of levels into HP that almost no one else is going to get. So he'll have 400 more HP than pretty much anyone, if that counts for much. So good for you, Sabin. He's almost always in the front row for me, so I guess that keeps him alive. And finally, Strago, who has terrible magic selection, unfortunately. At least Dark is good, and with X Magic, Double Dark, as we saw against the Hidden, worked pretty amazing. Or, sorry, the Magi Master. When he was weak to Poison, we saw a tremendous amount of damage. Otherwise, most of his X Magic is just to put on buffs at double speed. Double Shell, Double Berserk, Double Reflect, stuff like that. It's more about his lore, and I think all of his lore is based on his magic stat. I think. I looked at it briefly, but I didn't double check. Perhaps Status Infliction is based on Stamina, but I'm not 100% sure on those. So, what does that mean for him? Well, probably a lot of Shiva levels. Stamina, I don't think does him any good at all. What would he even use Stamina for? What he needs is, what would be perfect for him is, if you could use it, Magic and Speed would be amazing. But unfortunately, he can't use Siren. Yeah, I don't know why you would want Stamina on Strago. Someone leave a comment about why Strago... Like, to me, Stamina Strago is like one of the worst stats. Like, it doesn't really do him any good at all, other than a little bit of protection. So, seems like a weak pick. So we can give him Magic and Max MP at least. And probably won't do that. So it'll be Shiva and Zone Seek. And the question is just how much MP do we want to give him? Let's start with 5 there and 10 here. So that's plus 25 magic. I'd like to see his magic power over 100, so the more Shiva the better. And keeping in mind, I'll probably be equipping him always with something like a Circlet that gives you plus 50% MP anyway. So I think as he gets higher levels up, he's already over 500 MP with Osmos and Raid. That's probably a high enough pool. Like, his MP pool is pretty good. So at this point, we might as well just stack his magic damage as high as we can get it. I feel like that's probably the way to run him. Again, I could be wrong, but at least this way, with a couple pieces of magic equipment, he'll crack into, like, the 120s for magic power. Which sounds pretty good to me. And I guess I forgot to unequip that again. This might have influenced his magic. Yeah, so 93 base magic. He might not quite hit 120. But he's getting dangerously close to the magic cap, which I'm pretty sure is 128. Brave New World may have changed it for all I know. But still, that's pretty good. So if he finds... you know, he's got limited elements. But something like non-elemental Black Omen that ignores defense should be awfully strong at over 100 magic. So I have more hope for him than I used to, and it's mostly because I was able to get all of his lores, and I'm sure the lores got buffed in Brave New World, so hopefully he turns out better than my initial impression. He seemed really bad in the World of Balance. Alright, one more team. Hang in there, guys. I'm trying to not go too slowly. So we got Relm, Setzer, okay, oh good, my C team, yay. Alright, now these guys might be a little bit more complicated for the builds. I'm a little bit less familiar with some of them. One thing that I did do a bit of research on, Relm's, because we're starting with Relm, her sketch ability actually uses the enemy stats in Brave New World. So there's nothing other than sort of speed, I guess, that really will affect her ability to do sketch for different damages or whatever. So don't consider sketch when you're considering Esper levels, basically, because that's not how it works. So then, what else can you do with Relm? Also, I think the relic that gives her control may have been cut out of the game. So the one that changes sketch into control enemy might be cut. Because I think I did a little bit of reading, and apparently it was causing lots of bugs and stuff, and it is kind of a buggy ability in the first place. So either I haven't found it yet, or it may have been cut. We'll see. Anyway, magic will help her, obviously. Stamina will help her with Regen X, at least. I feel like the no-brainer option is make Meteor and Flare as powerful as possible, and that's just increasing her magic. There's not much else she can do. Her sketch, well, she can do sketch, but that's not affected by her stats, seeing as it uses enemy stats. So then, what other stats help her? Speed will help her get her turns more often. Stamina is regen, but very little else. She's never going to do physical damage, and then magic damage is pretty much everything else. Her equipment is based on her magic stat, I believe, both the healing from the brushes and the magic damage from the rods. The problem is the rods need to be front row to do max damage, even though it's magic element, or like it's a magic type attack. You still have to be in the front row for those to work. Plus there's activation triggers and even a great Punisher that can cause dark on hit. It still is kind of random how often you get that, so I try to avoid randomness wherever possible. I'm sure you guys are aware. So what does that leave us? She doesn't have a whole lot of options anyway. It's MP, which doesn't matter as much because she's got Osmos, right? But her spells are pretty expensive. Stamina, which looks less useful. Magic and MP. Zone Seek, same as Strago. And Speed. Unfortunately, there's no pure magic, so she's going to end up with a lot of MP. I don't think we should use Bahamut. We should probably use Zone Seek to give her magic damage at the same time. And then a bit of speed. I don't know how much she needs. She's averagely fast already, so let's give her like 5 to start with Ifrit. And then we'll start going into Zone Seek pretty heavy here for magic damage. Take a quick review at this point. Got 10 left. I don't think I'm doing stamina with her. I'm not going to go pure MP. It's either Zone Seek or Ifrit from the rest of the way out, so... How much more speed does she need? How much more magic power does she need? I don't know. I think she's already pretty fast at 46. I feel like to get the most bang for your buck with her, just max out her magic power as much as you can. Because her spells cost so much, you probably want them to hit as hard as possible. She can't get X magic as far as I'm aware, so just make that one cast of Meteor wreck the enemy as much as you can. That seems to be the smart way, and this gives her more MP anyway, so... It serves a dual purpose. It's not wasted for her as much. Although I would prefer something like Shiva to just max out her magic stat. I think at 560, with a reasonably high likelihood of having an MP equipped, an MP increasing equipment equipped, equipment or relic. I can give her like the magic cube, for instance. Lots of magic power and plus 50% MP. You know, her MP is going to cap pretty quickly. She'll be at 999 MP. So all those extra Esper levels of MP are kind of wasted at that point. Although it frees up an relic, sort of. Okay, so Mog is a more complicated one for sure. So his stats, he's got another one, kind of like Terra. He gains more benefit from some of his off stats than most characters. So Vigor is good for jumping, but that's about it. Counterattacks with the lance and stuff like that. Speed is the same as always. The stamina will help him change the dance. So either the first time you start a dance in a new area, or if you're using the Moogle Charm to change the dance routine, you'll need to pass like a dance check, like pass or fail, stumble or not. And apparently stamina helps lower the odds of failure. I don't know what the formula is, and if I knew the formula, I might be a little bit more confident. If it was something like stamina out of 60%, like, so right now it's like a 50-50 chance of failure, then raising his stamina to 60 would make a lot of sense. On the other hand, if it's stamina out of 128 or 255, you know, standard old bit rates, old bite-sized numbers, then raising his stamina by 10 is only giving him like a 5% improvement. That's not enough. So my problem is I don't know how much difference the stamina makes on his dance. I know it makes a difference, but I don't know how much. So if you boost his magic stat, at the very least, Quake, Break, and Bio will get better. And these are not bad spells. You know, this is a pretty strong poison spell, a quite useful wind spell, and a pretty strong earth spell. They all ignore defense, or at least 2 of them do. So he's actually got like acceptable magical offense, and death, I mean, you know, maybe it'll work once in a while. So that's good, and a lot of his dances do magic damage. I don't know how many are magic and how many are stamina, but I think most are magic, and most of the heals from the dances are also magic, but stamina will affect some of them. So anyway, like I said, his builds are kind of complex. I don't think he needs the HP per se. So it's pure magic, magic stamina, or vigor speed. So if I want to build him the same as Edgar, he's got that option with Palador, which is probably not bad because jumps are good. Like, no one's ever said jumping was bad. Unfortunately, we only have one Dragoon helm, or Dragon helm, whatever it's called. And double jumping is definitely better than normal jumping. So, I mean, if you want to do vigor, you might need another Dragon helmet. Speed is good, though. Like, speed will help him with his dances, too. I wish I knew better about... Like, if you're going to do dances, you probably want stamina, but I don't know how much. I'll give him 10. I honestly, this might be like a waste. 10 more magic, like, you know, 10 levels here means 10 less magic if I was gonna do Shote. So I don't know if this is the right choice, but I'm gonna go with it anyway. It's kind of balanced. So that's 10 levels of stamina magic. Puts them at 40 baseline. Hopefully that helps a bit. And then I don't know. I'm just going to give him a mixed build because I don't know what to do with him, really. I'm going to give him 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to give him 6 of each. So, he's got 6 levels of vigor and speed, 6 levels of magic, and 10 levels of this one. So I'll put a couple more speed, magic, and a couple more vigor speed, however I feel. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Mog. I haven't really committed to one build or the other, so he's kind of a jack of all trades. So he's probably not going to be one of my strongest characters, but I don't think he was one of my strongest characters in the first place, so that's what we get. So then you got Setzer. Setzer. Eh. So, okay, does he have any new spells that I just haven't learned yet? No, of course not. He's got all the spells he's ever going to get. So what do we do? We've got expensive healing spells, Regen X, which is good, no life spell other than Re-Rise, and a couple poison elementals. He seems so bad. I don't know why anyone likes him. I'm not seeing it. I did switch over his Daryl's Soul to the Hyge's coin. So we're going to try that because the GP toss should give him a strong non-elemental back row attack that costs us money. Thanks, Setzer. But at least that gives him a damage output. So then what stats can he get that helps? I don't friggin' know. He gets magic, HP, MP, or stamina. I don't think stamina does him much good. So magic it is, probably. I mean, stamina... No, it'll help him with his regen and his remedy, but... I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5... he gets the Mog treatment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... He needs MP to cast his magic. 2, 3, 4, 5... So he's got a little bit of MP, a little bit of magic, a little bit of stamina. What a terrible build. I don't know what I'm doing. You know what? You get... 1 more of each. So he's at 6 of everything. Lucky 6s, right? That's him. So, does that make a good Setzer? Probably not. I don't know what to do with this guy. His magic power is so hard to max out. It starts really, really lowly, so I feel like his cure spells are always going to be pretty weak, and he needed the MP to even cast them. Especially stuff like Regen X, 45 MP. Like, if you're using this as a primary healing spell, you can only cast it a couple times. I'm probably missing something, but anyway, that's Setzer. Have fun. And then Gao, yeah, so I don't know too much about Gao. I don't know if any rages, I don't know if any stats affect his rages properly. It probably needs magic to do magic damage, and he can't raise his magic. So it's all speed or stamina. I'm gonna give him 10 speed. Because I feel like that's enough to get him over the hump, that now he's a pretty fast... You know what, I'll give him 2 more, so that his base speed is around 60. Now he's definitely one of the fastest characters in the game. Look at that, 60 speed. And then after that, I'll just give him stamina, because maybe it helps out with some of his rages, I don't know. He wasn't doing enough damage in his rages for me to like him earlier, so maybe that will help. At least this time, instead of pure speed, I tried to buff his stamina a little bit. Anyway, that's all. I know today's episode wasn't terribly exciting, so hopefully I remember to name this a bonus episode that came out in addition to a normal episode. Next time we're going to go after dragons, so I will be doing little jump cuts in between adventures, because I've got to go do some backtracking. We've got Earth Dragon, a Fire Dragon, Water Dragon, Ice Dragon, and a Holy White Dragon. Hopefully we can get those all dealt with in the next episode. That's my plan, anyway. We'll probably start with the Earth one, because he's easy to get to. But, yeah, I'm going to be trying to build my party to deal with them specifically. So, last time we got wiped out by Meteor on the Earth Dragon and Earth Elemental damage. I'm going to try to find equipment that reduces Earth damage and build a party sort of around that. And then Meteor, if he can do 1,500 to 2,000 damage, give or take, I need people with lots of HP, so we'll see. But wish me luck, and next episode, we will try to kill some dragons. See you there.